What is going on, everybody? We have a very special 5th edition of the for you today with the beloved Raymond James Stadium, home of the within the decade Super Bowl winning team in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As you can see, we're deviating a little bit from the college landscape here to go over my recent visit to the Buccaneers Stadium during their game versus the Atlanta Falcons. If you're new here, I'm flashing the breakdown of the rules here really quickly before we hop on over to the history of this nautically themed wonderland. History. Raymond James Stadium was the birthchild of Malcolm Glazer and executed by the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County through a 30-year half-cent sales tax that was heavily controversial at the time. Glazer originally promised to pay for half the stadium cost, but when he did not receive his goal of $50,000 in season ticket sales over the course of this time of this offer, the offer was rescinded. The stadium itself was made to host the Buccaneers and the Southern Florida Bulls, but they also had a temporary MLS resident in the Tampa Bay Mutiny from 1999 to 2001. Another two notable events hosted at the stadium would be the ReliaQuest Bowl and here recently the Gasparilla Bowl as well, both of which have had record attendance since utilizing these facilities and will be held here for the near future. Architecture. This stadium by far has some of the most immersive architecture I've ever been to in person. The stadium is shaped in a way that allows a good amount of noise within to reverberate throughout the city blocks and allows for a walk-up rife with anticipation. The walk into the stadium is short and sweet, with your typical lookout below before heading on into the corridors, from which I can say are a bit cramped. Walking to my seat initially and any walking around between quarters felt like I was a cattle lined up and walking to the next destination. Quite literally, nuts to butts. The concession lines crowded the main walk, and the corners were quite tight. But for a plus, the accent on the podiums before your seats were the murals on the walls. They're all different from what I could see, and they are lovely. The seats in the field are all color coordinated, and the logos are plastered densely throughout. And of course, you can't forget about the pirate ship. From authentic sounding cannons to it being able to be boarded by the fans and staff alike, there's truly nothing I've seen like it at a stadium, and they incorporate it to a T. One more thing to mention is the platform across from the pirate ship is dedicated to an open party feeling with a lot of extra areas to get concessions and drinks, and I have very much respect for that. We're going to be rating this stadium an A, a perfect combination of theme, color coding, with a little bit of a downgrade just due to the low amount of space. The capacity of this bad boy is 69,218 people, and every bit of it is a pull-down stadium seating, color-coded to the Buccaneers red, except for a small stripe of gray, which is also part of their colors, so I can't tell if it's on purpose or not, but it definitely fits the scheme. It's the premier and ideal minimum for your stadium, and these guys do a good job of achieving that. They also have a good amount of small open suites, as well as some enclosed, elongated ones directly stacked above them. It's overall made with the idea of community in mind, as it's impossible to not intermingle, at least in the common areas of this place, and we're going to be giving that a B+. Fan appeal. This is a hard category to judge here because do I do it for the NFL average, which is a high percentage of filled seats but is still in the lower half of stadiums, or do I do it for the Southern Florida Bulls numbers, which are kind of average at best? Well, I did both and kind of put my own thought on it and gave these guys a B+, because the feeling of the environment at the Buccaneers game was a very laid-back and fun environment for the most part, and you can tell the fans on the professional level really get behind it. And the attendance at the college level is nothing to shake a stick at either. While this seems a bit biased, as I am not going to be able to visit all the stadiums that I'm going to be rating in this series, so I'm not going to be able to add this biasm, I'm going to be putting it here anyway. Which one of the things I noticed was the adaptation to the environment that this stadium has, with the sunscreen stations mounted throughout the corridors. That, as well as the Sage stations and the freebies given throughout my one game there, makes me feel like the amenities are very fan-centric, and I, for one, very much enjoyed it. If you're a new-time fan, you're going to be weighed down with merch if you go on the right day, and I think that's the right idea for fan retention for sure, in my book. The stadium biome is directly tuned for weather, but the field itself is pretty standard. They're running a multi-screen setup at both ends of the field, and they get the job done with ease, but aren't as showy as other stadiums. The stadium has Bermuda grass lined the ground, which seems to be the preferred motion for the future of the league, and all in all, I'd give these guys an A. Tampa Bay is going to be the next hotspot for people around the millennial age group, And they are certainly putting their foot down as far as trying to get good roots in that demographic. Well, that just about sums up the Raymond James Stadium here in Tampa Bay. I certainly enjoyed going, and I would highly recommend going if you ever have a chance if you are in the neighborhood. It was a highlight indeed. What did you think? Have you been to Raymond James Stadium? Let me hear what you have to say about your experience there. I for sure am going to be going there more in the future, but I'd like to hear a bit more of a consistent take. Until next time.